Hey everybody, today we're going to talk to Ric Stewart, one of our outstanding sociology majors, about what he's been up to and just get a chance to get to know him a little bit better. Ric, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
I know you've been heavily involved with the Georgia immigration reform movement. Can you tell us a little bit about the leadership you've taken in that and kind of just the things you've been doing?
Sure. I got involved in the immigrant rights movement when I was a freshman in high school, and it started off as something pretty personal for me, and then I began to learn more about it and realized a lot of the myths and misconceptions about immigration that I had heard for a long time just weren't true. They were nothing more than myths and misconceptions. So when I came to Georgia Southern, I got involved with a committee here on campus that's mostly faculty, a few students, and a few community members. It's called the Committee for Tolerance and Community Collaboration. And Dr. Deborah Sabia in political science is the chair of that. So I got involved locally at first, and then I got involved in some other organizations in the region. And then in 2010, I joined the Georgia Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, which is a statewide coalition of about 53 different organizations that support immigrants and refugees. And so last year I was appointed to their event planning committee, and we were able to organize the first ever statewide immigration conference in Georgia, which was held in Macon. It featured some faculty from Georgia Southern, including Dr. Schewitz from the Sociology Department, and ended up with a great turnout. We had about 250 people. And after that, I was elected to the board of directors of the Georgia Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition. So that's been a really interesting experience for me. I've enjoyed being able to take a leadership role in that organization and to get engaged in some public policy advocacy.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about the public policy advocacy? Like, I'm not sure all of the people watching this will know exactly what that means or what that looks like. And so what have you been up to?
Well, we've done some different campaigns. We've done letter writing campaigns. We've met with lawmakers on the state level. We've met with some state representatives and just talked to them about our concerns. We've met with some of our local school board members and elected officials on the local level, folks from the police department and sheriff's department about immigration issues. And I've also had the opportunity on a couple of occasions to testify before a special Senate committee on immigration that was a study committee in 2011.
And that's a Georgia State.
Right.
Right. Okay, that's fantastic. Good for you. Like, and I know you also spend a good portion of your time volunteering at for CASA, being a CASA advocate, and also at Okeechee Hospice. I think people know what hospice is, but I don't necessarily know that they know what CASA is. So maybe talk a little bit about what you do as a CASA advocate and help us understand what CASA is.
Sure. So CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. They are appointed by a judge as sort of an independent, non-biased representative of the court to go and just keep an eye on how the case is progressing. They look out for the child's best interest. They listen to what the child wants in a child custody case, and they try to make the situation as stable and achieve permanency for the child where there's a situation when Child Protective Services has to get involved. So they try to look out not just for the interests of the Department of Family and Children's Services, not just for the parents, but they look for what's in the best interest of the child. And then they submit a report and often testify in court on behalf of the child.
Can you talk a little bit about what you do at Okeechee Hospice and kind of what got you into that?
Sure. Well, I knew I wanted to get into some area of social work. I knew I wanted to work at one end of the spectrum or the other, either with children in Child Protective Services or at the other end of the spectrum with people who were terminally ill. So that's how I got involved in both of those organizations. And once I did, I found out that I gravitated much more toward people with terminal illnesses and working with hospice. And so that's my plan right now, is to pursue a career in hospice social work. But I've had the opportunity to get involved with a lot of the great programs they offer at Okeechee Area Hospice. It's the only nonprofit hospice in our region. So they're the only hospice that provides services regardless of a patient's ability to pay. And I've had the opportunity to get involved with their bereavement camps for children. Every year they have something called Camp Lily Welly for children who have lost someone close to them. So that's been a really gratifying experience. I also just finished training to be a spiritual support volunteer. So our full-time chaplains work Monday through Friday regular hours, but we don't have any chaplains on call on the weekends and holidays and nights. So we've got a rotation now of 5 ordained ministers, including myself, who are going to be on call, rotating weekends, filling that need for spiritual support of our patients and families.
That's fantastic. And so after you graduate, what are your plans? You know, are you going to continue your education? How are you going to, you know, develop your career towards the things you've been working on?
My plans are to get a master's in social work. I'm applying to some MSW programs right now and pursue a career in hospice social work. And I'm also looking into, after that, programs for a certificate in thanatology to do some continuing education there.
So can you talk a little bit about how your education in sociology kind of helped with all of these things? Like how do these things work together?
Well, I decided to be a sociology major because I had a lot of varied interests. I couldn't really peg it into one cubbyhole like political science or, you know, or some other area of some other discipline. It was hard for me to really focus on one thing. But what I love about sociology is it gives me a way to think critically about a lot of different areas that I'm interested in. So I think just the skills that sociology has taught me and how to think critically about any area, whether it's you know, child welfare, whether it's death and dying, whether it's immigration, or whatever it is, sociology has given me a new way to approach things and a new way to think about things.
All right, well, thank you very much for giving us some of your time. It seems like you're a very, very busy person, and so we definitely appreciate it. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much.